So have you ever heard the phrase one and done?
Yes.
Well, it only takes one podcast to cover the entire book of 2 John because it is only 13 verses.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get it done today.
Getting it done.
So he's Chris and I'm Jeff and we're the Bible guys.
So, Jeff, our segment today is given to us by Desiree on our show sheet, and it is called Family Time Draft List.
Ooh, I like drafts.
And it's basically asking one of our favorite activities to do as a family. So we're going to draft 5 different things apiece, rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have to be summer things, although because it's summer, they can be, right? So we could lean that way.
Okay.
So rock, paper, scissors.
Okay,
ready?
ready? Rock,
1, 2, 3, shoot. Oh, 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh, yeah. So first one was scissors, and then the second one I did rock, and you did paper.
Paper, yes. Okay, so here's the first one for me. I'm going to pick something unusual. My family likes to go to what we call the duck pond. There's a park in Rochester Hills that sits like on Walton Road, and it's just off downtown. And it's just a little tiny park, and there's really not too much there except for a bridge and a creek. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we go there, and there's a ton of ducks, and we bring bread, like an entire loaf of bread, and I'm talking like maybe 60 to 70 ducks. Mm-hmm. So they all come there, and we feed them, and then we sort of walk the trail all the way to Rochester Road and get ice cream at Dairy Queen.
Oh wow,
we do that. We've done that dozens and dozens of times.
Wow, that's cool. So my first draft choice would be grilling in the backyard. Our family loves the whole sit on the patio, turn on the lights at night, you know, grill some good food, sit around, retell old family stories, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's probably our favorite thing.
Well, my second choice should have been my first choice because I don't know how I didn't think of this first. But Zarbaugh game night.
Oh,
we do board games.
You guys are legendary on the board game thing.
We sort of are. Mm-hmm. And we invite people over, and we do Zarbaugh game night, and our whole family. Yeah. And now that we have older kids, it's a joy for me to see that they still want to do Zarbaugh game nights. Yeah. Because it was a part of our, hey, what do you think about having a Zarbaugh game night tonight? And we just do board games all night.
It's fun.
All the time.
That's fun. I think for us, we've always been a road trip kind of family. Mm. So if it was just get in the car and drive a couple hours and go do something dumb, hey, let's go get ice cream at the top of the thumb of Michigan or something. We'll just get in the car and go do that. One time, Bonnie and I, we were talking on the phone, and I mentioned my favorite sandwich in Chicago. Yeah. And she's like, we should just go. Let's go. And I got in my car from work, picked her up, and we just drove to Chicago for a sandwich.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like a 700-mile round trip for a sandwich.
Was it worth it?
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was.
That's so funny.
Riccobini's, if you're wondering. Riccobini's breaded steak sandwich in Chicago.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So road trips are fun to us.
Yep. And I'm going to say we like to watch movies, particularly Disney movies. Mm. So it's interesting because, when
you got to get in your 6 cries a day, so...
Well,
you can get like 4 of them just in a Disney movie.
It doesn't require a Disney movie. It's any movie. To be honest with you, it's any commercial. It's anything, right? It could be watching, TikTok. It doesn't matter what it is. But no, like it's funny because we love Disney movies to where like even the cartoon stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like it'll come out and like this new Elements movie that's coming out. Uh-huh. Like we're all just like, oh yeah, I wonder if it looks good. But we'll all rent it and see it together or go see it.
Right.
And we have like kids in our 30s and 20s. Right. But we will.
So movie night, Disney movie night is
all the time.
Yeah. So our family typically has liked things outdoors. So I still love camping. My wife has kind of gotten past the tent camping thing, a little bit. So she prefers glamping a lot more now. But we still like that the outdoorsy camping thing and everything that goes with it, riding your bikes, canoeing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So all the Zarbaughs, our idea of camping is a hotel. Yeah. like all of them, every single one of them. We're not the camping people.
The more rugged and the harsher it is, the better it is for me. I love it.
Wow.
I mean, I've camped in Africa before, right?
Yeah.
For 10 days. We had hyenas come through our camp, right? I love that stuff. That's what I love. Bonnie doesn't.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. we went to go take a bath down in the river, and a whole band of baboons came in and ran us off. So when the baboons come in, you leave.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't stand and fight off the baboons, right? So
It sounds so good.
Yeah,
I wish I could do that. All right. So
note to self: never go on vacation with Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just going to do 4 because we're running out of time.
Okay. So
this will be our last one. I'm going to say you already mentioned up north, but ice cream trips. We will be at home and say, let's go for ice cream. And we'll all pile in the car and just go out just for ice cream locally and then come back. We do that all the time.
Well, so we do this thing. And so if any parents listening today, it's totally free for the most part, is letterboxing. So basically, there's hundreds of thousands of these hidden all around the country. Some people have heard of the idea of geocaching. This is different from that in a lot of ways. But you have a distinctive rubber stamp that represents you or your family, and you keep a log book, and then they hide them and then leave clues. And they're puzzle clues. They're not like GPS kind of coordinates. They're puzzles. So you solve the puzzle, you solve the riddle, you solve the code, and then that gives you instructions as to where it is. And then when you find it, they've hidden usually a waterproof box or something, and there's a rubber stamp that they carved inside along with their logbook. So you stamp your book, and then you take your stamp and stamp their book, leave little notes and stuff. We found, 400 or 500 of those around the country. Pretty fun.
This is a thing?
Yeah, it's called letterboxing. Letterboxing.org or atlasquestcom are the two websites. There's hundreds of thousands of them.
I feel like you've just revealed an entire world, something that I had no idea existed. Like, hey, there's a vampire culture. Yeah. Vampires are real. They're among us.
It's so much fun.
They're all among us.
Dude, the first time I ever saw it, I was on the top of the tallest mountain in Texas. And there was a little box. When I opened the box, it was a letterbox thing up there. Yeah,
I've never even heard of such things.
Yeah, dude, we should do it sometime as a family. Yeah, our two families should
I halfway think you're punking me.
No, I'm telling you, it's the truth. It's tons of fun.
I'm going to make something up and share it next time. And you're going to be like, that exists? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm telling you, it's fun. So that's our thing.
That is so weird.
Yep. We found hundreds of them.
I mean, it sounds cool for sure, right? Mm-hmm. But weird that I'd never heard about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a secret. We try not to tell people. I'll probably get kicked out of the club now because I mentioned it on the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
So the good news is we took almost 8 minutes for that segment, but the good news is there's only a few verses in this book.
Well, there's only 13 in the whole book.
Yeah. So 2 John, we're going to read the whole thing today. This letter is from John the elder. I'm writing to the chosen lady and to her children, whom I love in the truth, as does everyone else who knows the truth, because the truth lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace, which come from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And we know that the Son of God has come, and he has given us understanding so that we can know... Oh, I just jumped in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, I jumped in the wrong spot on my page. From Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, will continue to be with us who live in truth and love. How happy I was to meet some of your children and find them living according to the truth, just as the Father commanded. I'm writing to remind you, dear friends, that we should love one another. This is not a new commandment, but one we have had from the beginning. Love means doing what God has commanded us, and he has commanded us to love one another, just as you heard from the beginning. I say this because many deceivers have gone out into the world. They deny that Jesus Christ came in a real body. Such a person is a deceiver and an antichrist. Watch out that you do not lose what we have worked so hard to achieve. Be diligent so that you receive your full reward. Anyone who wanders away from this teaching has no relationship with God, but anyone who remains in the teaching of Christ has a relationship with both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to your meeting and does not teach the truth about Christ, don't invite that person into your home or give any kind of encouragement. Anyone who encourages such people becomes a partner in their evil work. I have much more to say to you, but I don't want to do it with paper and ink, for I hope to visit you soon and talk with you face to face. Then our joy will be complete. Greetings from the children of your sister, chosen by God.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is John writing to the beloved lady, right? The chosen lady and her children.
Yeah.
And he's talking, he's kind of using code. Remember, there's a lot of persecution at this point. He's using code, and he's talking to a church and the church members. is what he's doing. So he's not talking to some lady. This isn't like a flirting letter that he's writing, a love letter he's writing to somebody. He's writing to a specific church and their children. But he wrote it in code this way so that nobody could figure out what church. So the Romans couldn't just hunt down these people if the letter got intercepted or something. So, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Greetings from the children of your sister chosen by God.
Yeah. So he's the church he's at.
Yes.
Is sending greetings to this church. And they would have known, but the Romans, if they'd intercepted the letters, couldn't have figured out what church it was coming from or what group of Christians it was going to.
Yeah,
Isn't that neat?
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, friendship with John. Yep. Yeah, I was just reading the notes here, and I think it's very interesting. I think one of the most interesting verses that carry a lot of truth, and even though we may not think it's relatable, it really is relatable. It says this: if anyone comes to your meeting and does not teach the truth about Christ, don't invite that person into your home or give them any kind of encouragement. And then here it comes. Anyone who encourages such people becomes a partner in their evil work. Mm-hmm. And that can mean two things. What he's saying is if you give them any encouragement, it's as if you're promoting and furthering their work.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're partnering, furthering false teaching. But I sort of read it as well that the more encouragement that you give, the more partnership that you'll have. Because it's funny because how many times have you seen people be inquisitive about this teaching over here, and then they start watching videos or read a book or something like this, and then pretty soon they're like totally
sucked in.
Sucked in, man. They're on board,
right?
Because there's a reason why false teaching leads people astray. It has to be really well written or convincing false teaching.
Right.
I mean, it's not as if thousands of people are going to be convinced by something that's poorly written. Right. I mean, it's going to be.
Well, that's how the devil does his work. The devil doesn't invent new truth. Mm-hmm. The devil takes something that's true and twists it so it's truthy. It feels real. Right. And so this is what happens with false doctrine: is it starts to feel real. And so this may seem harsh. Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, he just wrote a whole little book about love. Matter of fact, he introduces this book about love. Love. And what we think often, I think our current society believes, if we're going to love everybody, that means we just accept everything.
Right.
And he's saying, no, reject falsehood. So you can be loving and at the same time reject what is false. I think that our society today needs more Christians to speak up in a lot of these areas, right? Because they're demanding, so much of our society demands acceptance of false teaching or false behavior or wicked things. And the church needs to stand up. Christians need to step up and go, listen, I love you as a person, but your behavior is wrong. I can't endorse your behavior. Yeah. And it's a loving thing to point out that somebody's decisions are leading them in a wrong path and going to ruin their life.
Yeah.
Right. So I can be loving, but I have to speak the truth with grace, right? Grace and truth together.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, again, it comes back sort of to yesterday's podcast you referenced, or maybe it was 2 days ago, where you talked about the professor that defined love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Love is a choice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, think about every aspect of love. So we used to do this thing called the Invitation Challenge Matrix, and somebody who challenges you. So think about the people in your life that they love you in feeling and in words and support, but they never challenge you in any way. Oh, right. That's really not true love. Right. And then there's people who challenge you and then they don't give you any relationship piece. Well, that doesn't feel very good either. Right. But every best relationship in your life, think of your parents, right? There are moments where your parents are like your mom says, I'm your mom. Nobody's going to love you more. I love you unconditionally, right? There's nothing you can do to ever diminish my love. Now get up and go clean your room. Right. And there's going to be times in your life where it feels really harsh. And then there's times in your life where it's going to feel really good. And those are the best, think about it. The best relationships in your life have both of those aspects.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we've kind of given permission to everybody almost in our society to be extremely fragile. Like if you say one word that I don't like, you hate me and I deserve to burn down your life and cancel you. Right. And that's just not true. So not every truth is pleasing to me because I don't always every moment of my life walk in truth. Right. And we all have blind spots. And it's borderline offensive to point out a blind spot. It is, right? I don't want to know that I have blind spots. I want to think that I've got it all put together. And then you go, hey, I don't know if you noticed this, but, right? So do you know what's embarrassing? This just happened to me here recently. I was standing backstage, and a guy came up and goes, hey, your fly's open. Answer and said, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, sure.
It's like I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody else to know that he said it. I turn around, I zip up my pants. You know what would have been worse?
You walking out on stage with your fly unzipped?
Right. Yeah. So it was loving that he embarrassed me in that moment.
Right.
It's not what I wanted. I didn't want that. I want my life to be put together. Yeah. I never want to have my pants unzipped in an inappropriate way, right?
Yeah.
I want to be, but it was a loving thing that he came and went, hey, you don't know this. You've got a blind spot. Right. And your zipper's undone. Yeah. And thank God, because I would have walked out and talked to thousands of people with my fly undone.
Well, hey, by the way, one time I remember being up at the pulpit at Fairview Baptist Church, like 180 people. Yeah. And a guy in the front row made the motion that my fly was down. Yeah. And I was wearing a suit at the time, so it wasn't as bad as jeans or whatever. Right. But I remember I didn't know what to do. And so I remember saying, right in the middle of the message, we're going to pray. Yeah. And I said, I want every head bowed, every eye closed. I said, seriously, everybody, let's pray. I want everybody looking down. I'm like, dear Heavenly Father, zip. I remember because I didn't know what else to do.
Pray without ceasing. You can pray anytime. Yeah. So John here is saying, for one, we have to understand it's loving to make correction. Mm-hmm. If you have relationship and genuine care for another person, right? So do it with grace and truth, but it's loving to provide correction or whatever. But then he also says, don't entertain people who are claiming to be godly people, but are choosing to live or lead people to live godless lives, right? Or in false teaching or whatever. He rejects them. He says, don't invite that person into your home. Don't give any encouragement. And he said, because anything that you do to give credibility to this bad behavior, this bad teaching, this bad lifestyle, this bad philosophy, you're participating in it if you find anything to support it. And so, I think that we have to think of, we're in Pride Month right now. I think Christians have to be careful with that. I think that when it comes to, so many of the other philosophies in our society today, there's some real challenges to us that I can be loving without endorsing. And that's what this is saying. Don't endorse bad behavior, bad philosophies, bad belief systems. Don't endorse those things. You can love the person without endorsing the culture or the belief system.
What's so funny about the applications that can come out of God's word? Mm-hmm. I think that I could take this tiny little phrase that John uses to conclude the chapter and do an entire sermon on this one half of the verse, where he says, verse number 12, I have much more to say to you, but I don't want to do it with paper and ink. For I hope to visit you soon and talk with you face to face. Then our joy will be complete. Oh, yeah. I could do an entire sermon on community and how texting each other is not true community. How watching church online is good, but it's not a substitute for the real thing. Yep. So John says, I have a lot more to share with you, but I don't want to do it with paper and ink. You can say paper and ink is texting. You can say paper and ink is streaming. You can say paper and ink is whatever means of technology, which is not human connection.
That's not face-to-face.
Yeah, I should say that. I should say anything that's not face-to-face. But he says, then our joy will be made complete together. Our joy. Yeah. Not mine, not yours, our. Right? Because God has made us, he's designed us to be in relationship with each other. And I know it's been a while since COVID. I know it has. But I just had lunch with the other day, and I was talking to a buddy, Jim, and I haven't seen him in years, lives in Australia. And he came back and he said, it's so interesting. He said, I go around the world. He said, I feel like people are more closed off since COVID. He said, I've just noticed that people aren't just as open. And I just think I think it's affected our society in really big ways in terms of economy and work and all that stuff. But I think also relationally, we have developed different patterns. Yeah. Right. And my buddy Josh went and he owns a business, and he went and a customer of his introduced himself and said that he had never set foot in Heritage Church, but he gives financially to our church, and he's never missed a single Sunday online.
Wow. Yeah.
So I know it's possible to feel connected to a church and even give to a church. But
Well, I would say it's possible to feel connected to speakers and singers,
right.
but not to the church,
Oh yeah.
right?
That's really good.
So you
That's
can
a
feel
really
very
good point.
connected to the programming
Right.
of the church, but but the church is not the programming. The church isn't the pastor and the singers. The church is the people. It's the assembly. That's what ecclesia means. It's the
Right.
called out assembly of believers. And so you can get religious programming and then give to that religious programming.
Yeah,
Certainly, but not being connected to the church.
That's a good distinction right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, all that to say, an entire sermon or even series could come out of that one simple verse.
Yeah.
Because
But we
again,
need each other,
yes.
right? So our joy will be complete when we're face to face,
Right.
which means, remember yesterday we talked about there's a next level. John is inviting us to the next level. This is next level Christianity, right? There's more to your spiritual life than you just consuming spiritual content,
Right.
right? Hey, good job listening to the podcast. We got people listen every day. We just got a message the other day saying, I haven't missed a single episode. You're a couple hundred in, never missed one. That's great. You need that kind of programming in your life. I think it's a good thing. Maybe not ours, but somebody's. You need good intake.
Or ours.
Yeah, sure. But you're missing something if you're not developing significant, meaningful spiritual relationships. And those take work and they take time and they take vulnerability being in an environment where there are other humans. But that's when your joy will be complete.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. Huge, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. And we will see you next time on the Bible Guys.